Well, people, finally I got round to checking out Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. This is directed by John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein. They co they both co-wrote with Michael Gilio. Uh, the film is produced by Nick Meyer, Jeremy Latcham, Brian Goldner. It is co-produced by Diana Gigoluti, executive produced by Dennis L. Stewart, Chris Pine, Greg Moradane, Jonathan Goldstein, Zev Foreman, and John Francis Daley. And with line production from Jonathan Hook. Lorne Balfe handled the music, Barry Petterson cinematography, Dan Lebenthal edited the piece, Victoria Thomas was on casting, Ray Chan production design. Art decoration is Jennifer Bash, Susanna Burra, Robert Cowper, Shira Hockman, Cara Kenner, Leandra Lagrange, Mark Lowry, Dale Mackey, Hawk Richter, Ern E. Regal, and Tom Steele. Set decoration is Naomi Moore, Cosmo Sarson, and Brian Vengas. Costume design is Amanda Monk. Now, our cast. Well, we have got Chris Pine as Edgin. His best friend Holger is played by Michelle Rodriguez. His daughter Kira is played by Chloe Coleman. A younger version of Kira is played by Sophia Nell Huntley. We have Zenk, played by Regé-Jean Page. Simon, played by Justice Smith. Doric, played by Sophia Lillis. Forge, played by Hugh Grant. Sophina, played by Daisy Head. Gorge is played by Spencer Wilding. Tobias Will Irvin. Chancellor Anderton, played by Nicholas Blaine. Chancellor Norix is played by Brian Larkin. Baroness Torbo is played by Sarah Amakwa. Elvin High Harper is played by Colin Carnage. Zia is played by Georgia Landers. Chancellor Jonathan is played by Clayton Grover. Blackwood is played by Barry O'Connor. Who else do we have worth mentioning? I think that is probably Ishira is played by Appy Pratt. Yeah, I think that, people, is the main group of people. Yeah, I would go with that. Okie dokie. So the gist of the film is this: a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers undertake an epic heist to retrieve a lost relic. But things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. That's what usually happens. It brings the rich world and playful spirit of the legendary role-playing game to the big screen in a hilarious, action-packed adventure. Yes. Well, I don't know about this. But one thing I did not know, right? I remember the 2000s version with the Waynes in it and all of that. And I hated that. That was bad. That was really bad. And especially just coming off of Lord of the Rings, right? That being so fucking good. And then you got Dungeons and Dragons. And it was just like, oh no. But I didn't know there were two other films. I think they were both straight to DVD. But yeah, I had no clue they did two more. I guess to keep the license and all of that kind of jazz. You know, you throw tripe out. But yes. Now, for me, right, this still runs afoul of Lord of the Rings. Right? That's my benchmark. You know what I mean? So I think anything else, I want it to be as good. And I will say, right, if you are looking for something more light-hearted, then Honor Amongst Thieves will probably be fine for you. You know what I mean? I mean that will work. Right? If you watch stuff like Plebs. Now, I enjoy the hell out of Plebs. Right? But I'm going in watching a light-hearted 20-minute TV series. If I'm going to sit and watch, something that is over 2 hours, like I don't necessarily want Plebs. Well, I'm looking for a higher bar, right? Because you let certain things slide in Plebs. But in this, like, they're doing all of these missions, but their gums never get dirty. Never get dirty. Right? Never get ripped. You would like they were in a hot thing. Nothing melted. Nothing. And we know the thing melts things. So it's just like, yo, how are you not? No one's sweating. Hair's not out of place. They were in jail for over a year. And facial hair, right? All hair. Perfect. Like, nothing grew. Nothing fucking throughout the film, nothing grows. Right? We never have anyone going, I should get a haircut, or let me just shave and then I'll come. It's just the same. It's the same. Which you're just like, yo, what? It made no sense. Like, I didn't really feel any chemistry between anyone. It's using the typical archetypes to flesh together a story. Like this, people, when we're talking about length, this was 134 minutes, right? That's 2 hours and 15 minutes essentially. And it really felt like there's a lot of stuff that we did not need. I don't think it needed to be that long. I think if it was shorter, I could have. No. I was going to be like, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. I probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point saying that shit because it's probably a lie. You know what I mean? It could have been an hour and a half, and I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it anymore. It would have just been a quicker watch, which, that in itself would have been favorable. I would have liked that. But yeah, it's just shit that, like, someone macking on someone, by the end of this joint, things are changing in that degree. right? You know, when people say certain things like, I'm terrible at this, be like, no, you're not. By the end, they're going to realize, oh, I'm actually really good. You know, it's just that kind of stuff, right? We know what's going to happen with the tablet of resurrection. Like, it is all very transparent. Now, there was my favorite moment of this film, and it made me smile so much. Ah, that was great. And to be honest, I would have loved to have seen them as as the story, right? But we got a little nod to the cartoon. That's all I'm gonna say. But we did, and it was lovely. It was a lovely thing to see. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do more with that, motherfuckers. Do more with that. Or at least please finish the cartoon. There was one episode left. Just make that. Right? But yes. You know, I think it tried too hard to be funny rather than just being amusing. Right? Like you have the Hugh Grant and the tea. Oh, this tea is too hot. Oh, I'll take another. Oh, it's still too hot. Like you literally just took a sip a second ago. It's not cooling down. You're not blowing on it. It's not cooling down. So we don't have to repeat, this is too hot, like 10 or so times. I mean, it probably wasn't 10 or so, but it was a lot. It was a lot, people. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it just doesn't really. It wasn't what I was hoping for. You know, I wanted more of as I said, I wanted more of a Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones affair. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, because in that synopsis, right, it says the film brings the rich world and playful spirit of the legendary role-playing game to the big screen. So I think with that, it's how you play the game. I never played those games, right? I mean, I did Games Workshop, right? But I never did that trying to create slapstick. I just told epic fucking stories. And I say epic stories, people, because I was a badass motherfucking games master. Trust that. Now, I might throw in some humor because I'm a funny motherfucker. You feel me? But that's not the emphasis. The emphasis is telling a great motherfucking story, right? And I'm not rehashing. I'm creating epic adventures. Yes. And this, it felt like they're trying to do something that everyone's going to love, right? So you play low. You know what I mean? Don't take too many chances. That kind of affair. Create these big spectacles. There's, as I said, like there's a lot of stuff happening, running and jumping and being like, oh, we need to get here and let's avoid this monster and this trap. But when you strip it all away, it's like, was it needed? Did it do anything? When you're adding all of these different components and elements in, you're having to use CGI. And the CGI was a little glaring a lot of the time, Some bits were fun, right? But some bits were just a bit like, I mean, we know you're not there, right? We know that this is green screen. The fights were just a bit like, what I mean? Like the fights you see on stuff like Arrow and, those sorts of shows, right? Like where you clearly can see the punches aren't really landing and, they're doing moves that you're just like, no one would do that in an actual fight. Like we know what actual fights look like. Boxing and, UFC and whatnot, right? Been around for years. We know what fights look like. We know what will knock people out. So it's like you watch these things sometimes and it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Huh? So yeah, like if it had been like The Witcher, would have loved that. right? Because that's got humor in it, and the songs are better. The Bard songs are better, more catchy in The Witcher. So listen, it wasn't for me, but yo, I remember one of my peoples hit me up when this dropped, and she was like, I just saw Dungeons and Dragons. I really liked it. So, you know, just because I'm not digging doesn't mean you won't. Right? It's available everywhere, Apple, Amazon, all the VODs, people. Right? I watched it on Now TV. So, yeah, if you've been inkling to check it out, right? If you've been inkling to check it out and think about the stuff you like to watch, right? I kind of think, let's just say if you like Shazam, right? If you loved, right, the first Dungeons and Dragons film, boom, you will enjoy this. You will enjoy this, right? If you like a lot of the Transformer films, again, you will enjoy this. Right. I don't know about the Beast one because I haven't seen that, but like those original, was there free? I feel there was free. If you enjoyed those, then yeah, you will dig Dungeons and Dragons. So yes, that's my barometer for you people. Like if you liked your highness, I want to say your majesty, that's not even a thing. If you enjoyed your highness, then boom, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves will be your jam. So yes, think about that, right? Think about that and then go do you. Have fun. But Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, it's out and about.